Fantasy freaks and geeks, what's going on? James Coe here with you. You're listening to the Sleeper King Football Podcast. All right, let's talk about running back sleepers. I want to jump right into it. Obviously, with Thursday Night Football right around the corner when you're listening here, Patrick Taylor versus the LA Rams should be of extreme interest to you. The Rams are bottom 10 in rush yards, yards per carry, and run stuff rate allowed to the running back position. Patrick Taylor, I think, is in a great spot. He is in a wonderful spot against the LA Rams. Again, I know this is the fourth string running back for the San Francisco 49ers, but Shanahan's system is straight gas. And Patrick Taylor is not a bad player, y'all. I do think he's a pretty good player. I think he's going to fit very well into this system as well. The only other running back to threaten for touches here seems to be Israel Abanikanda. Again, Abanikanda joined the team like 5 seconds ago. I don't think it's very likely that he knows the complex Shanahan playbook as of yet. A couple weeks down the road, we'll find out. But maybe by then Isaac Guerendo will be back. The other complication is that it's possible that Deebo Samuel is asked to play running back, but I think overall Taylor, man, like I said, great spot. Go ahead, fire him up. If you were smart and you took my advice last week and you stashed Patrick Taylor, you're feeling like a freaking genius right now. Genius. Let's talk about Gus Edwards taking on Tampa Bay. Great spot. Beautiful spot here for Gus Edwards. And by the way, with as banged up as the passing elements are for the Chargers, we're talking about Justin Herbert, Ladd McConkey, Will Dissly, all nursing some kind of injury, ailment, something is going on. I mean, again, a lot of passing elements here for the Chargers are all kinds of banged up. I would not be surprised to see Jim Harbaugh get back to power football. And what does that mean? It means lots of Gus Edwards. Because here's the other thing. The Bucs have allowed 4.58 yards per carry to opposing running backs. That's bottom 8 in the NFL. They're also bottom 5 in yards allowed before contact. So they allow a lot of push up front. I mean, shoot, you give Edwards a little bit of forward momentum, a little bit of head of steam behind this solid Chargers offensive line. Shoot, man. I mean, there is serious potential here for just a straight avalanche of rushing yards to be had. I would not be surprised if Gus Edwards goes out there, has 120 rushing yards, 1 catch, and a touchdown. And we are cooking, baby. We're cooking. I really wouldn't be surprised, honestly. It's a great matchup, like I said, against Tampa Bay. Now, deep sleeper. How many times I ask you, can I put Kamani Vidal on my sleeper list for it to not hit? At some point, it's going to hit, no? Oh my gosh, it's so frustrating, dude, because this guy is he's not only a good player, he's an explosive player, and they just don't give him a lot of opportunities. That being said, because they trust Gus Edwards more, he knows the system and yada, yada, yada. Anyways, they don't give Vidal nearly enough touches, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. But here's the thing. Tampa Bay has allowed the most receptions, dead last in the NFL in terms of receptions allowed to the running back position. So we know that Gus Edwards rarely is seen on passing downs, which means Kamani Vidal may hopefully see 3 or 4 targets in this ball game. I'm hoping he can bust one out for big yardage, just like we saw on his very first touch of his career. I mean, talk about getting my hopes up, bro. I'm watching Kamani Vidal from Troy, his Troy tape. I mean, grainy footage in some games. And I'm like, yo, this guy can play. And then he's playing with Harbaugh and Greg Roman. What? Oh, I'm getting excited. I'm getting juiced up. And so finally, J.K. Dobbins, again, he gets hurt. I'm like, oh, man, it's Vidal season, baby. And the first touch he ever had as a pro, he took it to the crib. Come on. Oh, my gosh, I got so excited. And then, of course, subsequently has done absolutely nothing Nothing. Crazy stuff. Anyways, maybe I just list Kamani Vidal as a deep sleeper every single week until he finally hits, and then I could say, see, I told you. It's so ridiculous. Anyways, all right, let's move on to Sincere McCormick taking on Atlanta. McCormick played 60% of the snaps last week and continued to look damn impressive. He averaged 5.2 yards per carry last week against the aforementioned Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 5.2 yards per carry. I mean, that is a, given what Alexander Mattison and my boy, Zamir White, who, oh, by the way, went on season-ending IR. Oh, my God. Worst piece of draft advice I could have ever given was hyping up Zamir White. That is a mea culpa to the max. My bad. Dude. I mean, it's crazy, too, because I hit on so many sleepers this year. Rashid Shaheed, Chuba Hubbard, Tyrone Tracy, Bucky Irving. These were all dudes that I was talking about in the preseason. Every single, I mean, I hit on so many, and I completely and utterly whiffed on Zamir White. That's crazy, bro. I couldn't have been more wrong about a guy, and I really liked him coming into this season. Crazy stuff. So big mea culpa on that one. Where were we? Oh, we're talking about Sincere McCormick. All right, cool. 89 scrimmage yards last week against Tampa Bay. 5.2 yards per carry, borderline miracle given this Raiders rushing attack prior to Sincere McCormick. All right. But you know what really got me excited? This is how you know I'm a nerd here. I'm a fantasy football dork. The reason I got excited was because I looked at this guy's routes run, and I'm like, yo, all right. He ran 12 routes versus Amir Abdullah's 15 routes. 3 targets versus Amir Abdullah's 2 targets, 2 receptions versus Amir Abdullah's one reception. So, again, very similar receiving numbers to Amir Abdullah, especially in the routes run department. 12 routes run versus 15 routes run. That's really good. It suggests that the coaching staff trusts him on passing downs. And look, I mean, quite frankly, that's all I need to hear to go all in on McCormick. I had some serious questions as to whether or not McCormick could catch the ball out of the backfield. I didn't see a ton of it on his college tape. So I'm like, all right. And to be fair, I only watched I think I watched 3 games of McCormick's. So it's a limited sample size for sure. I just wasn't totally sold on his pass catching ability. So the fact that he's in there doing his thing right now, shoot, man, that's all we need to see, man. He's playing 60%. If he plays 60% of the snaps and has, passing down value, yeah, we're all in, baby. We are all in. Over the last 8 games, the Falcons have allowed 8 different running backs to score 15 plus PPR points. Can McCormick be the 9th in 9 weeks? I think he's got a great opportunity, honestly. And if you can get 15 points, PPR points from Sincere McCormick, come on. Let's freaking go. I really like McCormick this week against Atlanta. All right, Rico Dowdle against Carolina. Beautiful spot for Rico Dowdle. Does Rico Dowdle count as a sleeper? I don't know. I feel like, sure. What the hell? Why not? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering whether or not they should play Rico Dowdle. And my answer to that is a resounding yes, you absolutely should. The Panthers have been improved, but still not a great run-stopping unit, right? They've allowed the most rush yards to opposing backs, while the 4.99 yards per carry allowed ranks as the 3rd worst in the NFL. Rico Dowdle, he's been playing pretty good football here. Come on now. He's coming off a season and career high 131 rush yards last week versus Cincinnati. And he has had 3+ receptions in 5 of his last 7 games. That gives him such an excellent floor. I mean, we're talking, look, if he gets 3 receptions for 20 yards, I mean, golly, we're already at 5. It's a great floor in a great matchup against Carolina, man. So no, Rico Dowdle, I think is in a good spot for sure. A start for you if you've got Rico Dowdle. I'm already getting a lot of questions regarding Braylon Allen versus Isaiah Davis. And to that, I say they're basically the same player. I mean, these guys are big, smash mouth guys that just, they're going to run downhill. They're basically the same dude, right? They ran, okay, look, from a volume standpoint, okay, they had nearly identical numbers when we're talking about snap share, when we're talking about carries, when we're talking about routes run. All of that is basically essentially the same. The only difference is that Isaiah Davis scored a touchdown and Braylon Allen did not. So again, I'm not thinking that, okay, Isaiah Davis is the better player. No. Listen, it's just all about opportunity and who runs into that touchdown, right? So if it was different where Isaiah Davis was seeing all the passing down work, or Isaiah Davis was playing, 65% of the snaps, I'd feel differently, right? But it's a 50-50 split. They play very similarly. They're very similar players. And Braylon Allen, I think Braylon Allen has higher upside. I think he's a better athlete overall. So again, how do I feel about Braylon Allen versus Isaiah Davis? Shoot, man. Pick a guy and just go with it. Overall, great matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags, I think they've pretty much just about given up on the season. Not that much time left, and they've already allowed the second most fantasy points per game to the running back position. Take your pick. Is it Braylon Allen? Is it Isaiah Davis? I'm probably not playing both, but I mean, I don't know. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to play both either. I don't know. Make your pick. If I had to pick one, I'm picking Braylon Allen. Javonte Williams against Indianapolis. I am, like you, extremely wary of the timeshare, but the matchup is really good, man. It's really good. The Colts rank third to last in explosive run rate allowed. They're third to last in scrimmage yards allowed to the running back position. And they have overall given up the fourth most fantasy points per game to opposing running backs as well. He has been below, we're talking about Javonte now. Javonte has been below 50% snap share in 2 of his last 4 weeks, but overall, I would say it feels very much like he is the lead back of a very unfortunate 3-headed running back committee. Now, he has not, I repeat, he has not been playing great football. That being said, if he gets this opportunity against Indianapolis, I think he will make the most of it because the numbers suggest that Javonte should be able to run against Indianapolis. And I do think, too, that he might get fed a goal line carry here. Anyways, so Javonte Williams, for me, he's a sleeper. I hesitate to say deep sleeper because people know him. He's a name. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not in love with it. But yeah, I do think that he's got an opportunity anyways to make some plays and hopefully break out a big run, maybe even break out a big run for touchdown against Indianapolis, a team that's been giving up a lot of big plays on the ground. Deep sleeper here for you. How about Jeremy McNichols taking on the New Orleans Saints? McNichols played about 25% of the snaps the last time the Commanders got out there. So I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, what about Chris Rodriguez? Yes, what about Chris Rodriguez? Look, it was a crazy blowout. I said this on the Waiver Wire podcast a couple of days ago, but I'm just saying it was a crazy blowout. Chris Rodriguez basically subbed in the fourth quarter. I do think a more realistic split would probably be McNichols seeing about 35%. And I just want to make this clear. He's a deep sleeper, right? This is a smash spot for Brian Robinson. If you have Brian Robinson, start with extreme prejudice. Start with extreme prejudice. I mean, he is in an absolute smash spot, 100%. The Saints allow 5.03 yards per carry to opposing running backs. That is the worst mark in the NFL. I think Brian Robinson has a real chance to put up a 20 spot here. Now, if he doesn't, it's because Jeremy McNichols might have snaked him on a goal line carry or something. You know what I'm saying? I don't hate it. I also don't love it. I'm just saying Jeremy McNichols might play 35% of the snaps in a really great matchup. That is why I would say Jeremy McNichols is a really interesting deep sleeper play. By the way, just like Patrick Taylor was a deep sleeper / stash, that is what Jeremy McNichols is for me. I think he's a stash. Brian Robinson has obviously dealt with some health issues all year long. So for me, I like McNichols as a deep bench stash if we're talking about what we're doing, planning for the future here. Okay, finally, he's not a sleeper, and I know it, but I just wanted to give you a little stat because, again, I do find this one really, really interesting. But Ramondre Stevenson is taking on Arizona. Again, I get it. Not a sleeper. That's fine. But let me just give you some info here. Arizona is a 5.5-point favorite, which I think that presents quite a conundrum here. Why? Because if you've listened to me and you've listened to this podcast, then you know that Ramondre performs much, much better in close losses or New England Patriot wins. When New England loses by 6 or less, this is 8 games, right? Stevenson has averaged 17.21 PPR points per game. He has multiple 20 plus point PPR games in that 8-game sample. But here's the problem. If this team loses by 7 or more, that's a 4-game sample. Man, he has averaged a week killing 4.08 PPR points per game. So if you get Ramondre in a real negative game script, he is toasty toast. He's donezo. Now, 5.5 points. Vegas sees this one as a little bit closer. I'm just saying I could also see Arizona pushing out to a 14-point lead, and Ramondre is out of there, man. My brain's in a little bit of a pickle here, but I think if we're relying on the boys in the desert, 5.5 points feels good. Ramondre should be in a competitive game script. And my other thing is that Arizona most likely will try to run this rock too, which means it should be pretty close. Both teams are looking to run the rock. So yeah, give me Ramondre. I think he's a start this week against Arizona, but I do feel a little queasy about what that game script might look like with Arizona being a 5.5-point favorite. All right, there you go. That's the show. Tomorrow when we come back, it will be wide receivers and maybe it'll be tight ends. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully you've got all your lineups set. By the way, it's Thursday when you're listening to me, man. Set your dang lineups. Make sure that you got all your Thursday guys in positional spots. So, like, don't have a Thursday guy in the flex because, shoot, something could happen late in the season and that person, whoever it is, let's say it's a wide receiver, you throw him into the flex, maybe he gets hurt. Well, now you could replace him with a tight end, wide receiver, or running back. You know what I'm saying? Just give yourself some roster flexibility. Put your Thursday guys up in a hard cap, wide receiver, running back, tight end spot, and then leave those flex spots open just in case. Just in case. Anyways, there you go. That's the show. We will be back tomorrow. But remember, it is never too late. And I mean this. It's never too late to chase your dreams. All right, peace.